right, everybody, welcome to our stakeholders meeting. I appreciate everyone's patience while we got that up and running. What had happened, so everybody knows, is there were two links out on the invitation, and so some of the notices went out with one link and others went out with another one, and it was just a big, on the back end, I could see both, and it was just a mess. So we've got it cleared up now. It should be the same link everywhere. I had to resend out passwords. So if you are just now joining us and it was late, I apologize profusely. We did not catch that there were two links in the KWEV dates. And so one time the wrong link was set out. So I apologize. And we are back on track. We have an action-packed panel. This is going to be high value, guys. Something I'm really intentional about. If you've come by the office or if you've had a chance to talk to me, I'm talking listings like constantly. Y'all are going to think I'm a broken record. Listings. And it's more than just, well, there's nobody out there who wants to sell. That is the market we are all facing. And so what are agents who are excelling in the market doing right now that you can start implementing in your business? What's working right now is what I wanted to try and bring you guys today. And we have that. So we are very grateful. We have AHG Home Warranty, and Josh is with us to sponsor us. I'm going to throw it to him in just 1 second. So let me, 1 second here. So first thing I want to remind everyone of, make you aware of, we are providing all donations to KWEV Cares to Lenora. Lenora, who was attacked at her open house in the end of June. Lenora Farrington is an agent in Virginia. She was hospitalized, not been able to work. And so your ALC has voted, and Brad has led the charge that all donations for this month to KWEV Cares, whether it's through a closing that you do, or you have Stephanie add it to your bill, or whether you just write a check and bring it in, we're going to donate all that money to her. And that comes from KWEV Cares, not KW Cares. This is our own KWEV Cares. Some people don't realize we have that to take care of our own, take care of you if you had something happened. It's really cool the way the agents are always giving and adding more back to our community. So that is there through the end of the month. Please, if you haven't, even if it's $5-10, seriously guys, this is the kind of thing that just a little bit adds up to a lot. Also, Bold Pivot starts on August 4th, Tuesday, August 4th. Bold Pivot is starting. Guys, even if you attended the last one, this one's going to be a lot better. They're putting a concerted focus on database. So where last time they were really just kind of pivoting and trying to provide value, this one is much more focused, and they're going to drill down on providing value to your database and getting deals and attention from your database. So look into that. Only $100. I mean, there's really not another way to get a better training than $99 and doing Bold Pivot. So look into that. You can register for that on the mapscoaching.com website. Also, Mega Camp registration is now open. Early bird pricing goes through the end of the week. Mega Camp will be virtual September 15th, 16th, 17th. So it's September 15th, 16th, and 17th. And I am in the process of putting together a way for us still to be able to get together and do it, even though we're not going to Austin, whether it's that we're going to be in rooms here in conference rooms, or we're in the training room, or we go to a bigger venue or something. We're going to do something so that we still can get that community feel that you get when you go to Mega Camp by being able to hang out together. So we're working on that. And with that, Josh, thank you for sponsoring today. I'm going to turn time over to you, buddy.
Thank you, Jason. I see a lot of friendly, familiar faces. If you're not familiar with me, I'm Josh with AHG Home Warranty. We joined the vendor program with Keller Williams East Valley last October. And to be honest, I was chomping at the bit to get in front of agents. The irony here, Jason at least asked me twice to talk about listing information. And with our new coverage, we currently don't offer listing coverage. So I know there's buyer's deals that you're working on. I've done some with some of the people in this on this call. So I still want to go over that. To be honest, we put it on hold because the industry average ratio from conversion, I'm sorry, the conversion from seller to buyer is only 7% when it comes to seller's coverage. So we're going to revamp and restructure our seller's coverage with our next coverage. So I'll keep everyone posted on that. I've been with HG Home Warranty since 2013. Last year, we were acquired by a company called HomeServe USA. They're on TV. Mike Rose, their their spokesperson, and we will eventually be changing our name to HomeServe. I'm excited about that because, to be honest, representing HG, I've been with a local kind of mom and pop home warranty company, climbing uphill against all my national competitors. Well, now I have a national company backing me. And we just came out with new coverage. We've got some other great things going on. With the new coverage, key things I need you to note if you're interested or entertained at all at looking at using another company on your buyer side. Freon is completely included. You want to double check. Some companies will say it's completely included, but sometimes there's a catch or there's a cap. There is no cap for Freon with HG Home Warranty. Also, a really big thing that we went away from, we're no longer asking for home inspection reports. If you're familiar with home warranties, they'll ask, and we did this previously, if a claim is made in the first 30 days, it's possible they can't deny it based on the home inspection report and what it says for that particular item. And lastly, these are just some big ones. No age-based restrictions. And then also, we guarantee our work for a year. I get it. You're busy. You trust your home warranty rep. That's what I want for my realtors as well. You're probably not going to know a lot of this stuff, but the industry average for guarantee on repairs is only 30 days. So we guarantee our work for a year, so they won't have to pay a second service fee if they need us. We pride ourselves on customer service, and listen, when it comes down to it, it's about 50-50, the company and the person you're working with. I'm a 7-year Navy veteran with a Midwest blue collar work ethic. Before COVID, I was at the office all the time, trying to earn trust and get my name out there. And that's why I was chomping at the bit. Even though we don't have listing coverage, I wanted to get in front of the agents with this brokerage because I'm ready to grow with the brokerage. I answer my phone. I don't, if I can't get to you right away, I'll get back with you. And, I just want to earn your trust and opportunity. I understand and respect if you have loyalty with someone else. I would just love to be a number 2 and prove myself, maybe earn that number 1 spot. I'm going to send my information, and then also I'm going to be stopping by the office to drop off some goodies. But to go off of Jason's story, I'm thinking about realtors. We just ordered customized pepper spray, travel pepper spray. So if you're holding open houses and you'd like some pepper spray put in your inbox or mailbox, send me a message and I'll leave that for you next time I stop by the office.
Josh, that's awesome. If I can ask you, if you could break down a little bit why it's so important that the Freon is there. I mean, you dropped several nuggets, and I think the Freon's one that could be skipped right over for a lot of agents who are listening to this that don't understand why that's a big deal. I mean, other than, okay, cool, full Freon, but it's beyond just, hey, cool, there's free Freon involved.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to extend that since you're giving me the opportunity. First of all, air conditioning companies out there putting out scare tactics, okay? There's plenty of Freon and refrigerant for the next 10 years in America. Just because we can't bring it from other countries doesn't mean we don't already have it here. I'm very nervous that air conditioning companies are going to scare people into thinking they need actual new units. Well, when you have a home warranty company, we review the notes and we say yay or nay on moving forward. And a lot of times they don't need a full unit. Conversion is included with this as well if they need to modify parts for the new Freon. But why it's important, home warranties typically will guarantee up to a certain amount, a dollar amount per pound for Freon. And now, listen, I've been doing this since 2013, and not everyone needs a complete overhaul when it comes to Freon. But if they do, it's the price fluctuates. So you could be looking at $25 per pound in the winter because the air conditioning is not being used that much, but you could be looking at 100, 150, some really high rates in the summertime. So your clients, and again, AHG, I'm not going to lie, our coverage before was capped at a certain point, so there was some out-of-pocket cost. But now, right now, with our new coverage, there is no cap for Freon. So that's something important to think about when you're recommending coverage to clients.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh, and thank you for the way you support our office. guys, you don't see it, but Josh is coming in here. He's checking on things. He's delivering items of value to you guys. Is really, really great. Really appreciate you, Josh. And he's in the Facebook group as well. If you want to reach out to him, if you don't have his contact information, but really consider throwing some business working with the AHG as well. So thank you, Josh.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, let's dive into our listing panel. And again, I want to profusely apologize for the confusion. There was lots of confusion, a lot of agents, a lot of people were getting on late because of the link snafu. There was a different link that got texted out than what was on like KWEV dates. And so as I got on about 12:15 is when I realized it. And so I began scrambling to get it changed and notices out to everybody. So I apologize for that. And I believe we should have everyone here. Josh, that was perfect. If you guys check the chat, he just dropped his information. I will drop that chat information that you put here also in the Facebook group. We're live streaming in our Facebook group and have about almost 10 people over there watching it. So, all right, let's get into it. I want our panelists to introduce ourselves. Our panelists that we have here with us today, we are fortunate to have, taking out of their business, taking time with us, is going to be Vicki Middlebrook from the Carol Royce team, Janine Igliani from the home selling team of Randy and Janine, Shanna Day from the Shanna Day team, and Joshua Kreitz with the Stratton Group. So I'll give it to you guys. Vicki, if you're on, you go ahead and you start with your introduction. We'll just go Vicki, Janine, Shannon, and Josh. Introduce yourselves.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I'm Vicki Middlebrook with the Carol Royce team. Been birthed into real estate, so been doing this a long time alongside with Carol and my brother and my husband and the rest of our team members. And listings is the number one thing that we focus on at the Carol Royce team. You want me to keep going, or?
That was good. Janine, jump on in.
Okay, I'm Janine Igliani. I have been in real estate and also at the East Valley office for over 7 years now. I started and I joined my dad, and he's been a realtor my whole life. I can't say that I was birthed into it like you, Vicki. He got licensed when I was a very little baby. But I do feel like real estate is in my blood because of that. And I genuinely love what we do, super passionate about it, and super proud to say that we've just are having a really great year. I will also add that I think I am the most proud of my business today than I've ever been. So I'm happy to share anything that we do with all of you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Janine. Shanna Day.
Hi, everyone. I'm just glad to be here with people like Vicki and Janine. I feel honored. So I started in real estate back, I guess, actually in 92 when I built my first house. In 98, my husband had this brainiac idea that he was going to buy a couple of orange groves and start subdividing. So I was thrown into subdividing and building luxury homes by default. And so we did that for 10 years. And then in 2008, I got licensed, joined Scott Agnew's Park City office, as well as the Tempe East Valley office. And I've been there ever since 2008.
Wonderful. Thank you, Shanna, for being here with us today. We're honored to have you as well. And Joshua. Many of you may not know Joshua, but so Joshua.
Yeah, so I am certainly honored, just like Shanna was saying, to be on a panel like this. It's pretty neat. I've only been with Keller Williams East Valley since November 2019. I've been in real estate for 4 years. This is, I guess, the first year of real estate. It was my first full year, like full time, and then I was part time for 2 years, and then came here, and now I'm full time again. So. It's been awesome. The team's been great here, very helpful. And I'm with the Stratton Group. They're based in Tucson. I was their first Phoenix expansion partner up here. So definitely happy to be here with you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh. Now, I believe our panel represents a great cross-section of what we have within our office, right? In fact, The reason I asked them is I had the numbers pulled since the pandemic began, and I said, okay, who is still getting the listings? Who's still driving things? You know, no surprise, Carol and her team, Vicki and them, were right there at the top. They've taken 82 listings, not including this month, just for the period of time I was talking about, 82 listings. So that for me says, look, there is business out there to be had. We just need to go get it, and they're showing us how to go get it. We may not, you know, I may not put up 82 on the board this month, but you know, it tells me that there's more people out there than what the story seems to become. Then we look at Janine and Shanna Day. These two are stalwart business producing people. Shanna is more in the upper luxury market, so there's luxury people still that are still ready to sell, and she's not only exclusive to luxury, of course, but there are people that she's interacting with on a consistent basis that are listing. Janine, she is the consistent queen of all things farming. I mean, anything you want to do to know what the most consistent sort of business I think you can have is one that's got a farm like Janine's, and she is showing what consistency applied will do. And Josh, the dude took 3 listings just last month. His trajectory is, he is on an upward trajectory, 3 listings just last month, and he is on fire, guys. He's an agent that you can see, all right, how long would it take for me to dial the number up a little bit, just kick up the heat, and how quickly will I start seeing results? And he'll be able to talk to you about what it is he's doing. So that's why I asked these 4 on here. I'll let you know that amongst the 4 of them, just those 4 account for nearly 30% of all listings taken during the pandemic. Yep, just those 4 agents, 30% of listings for our whole office. So pretty great stuff coming at you. I have some questions prepared. It's not questions I have to go through. This is also a time for you to ask the questions that you have for them. Find out, you know, what difficulties you're having. What have you always wanted to know about what they're doing in their business, okay? So this is a Q&A panel forum discussion is the intention here. So the first thing I want to ask that I'm going to throw to you guys to get us started off here is, what are you hearing from sellers out there? What are you hearing in the market when you are out talking to people? What's the feedback you get? What's the general feel from the people you're talking to? And that's thrown at everyone. So you 4 should just stay unmuted and just kind of talk.
Okay, well, I'll start if that's okay. We're hearing a lot of, I can't find anything I want to buy, so I'm just going to hunker down and remodel, stay where I'm at. And that's probably our biggest challenge, is that people are just not doing anything. They're just sitting back, and they also, some of my luxury clients are saying, oh, I'm just going to watch the market fall apart after an election, and then I'm going to do something then. So I'm hearing that a lot too.
Yeah, I would agree. You know, I have sellers that are very optimistic about things and love it and are super excited. I have those that are saying, I want to sell because I think the market's going to crash and I'm just going to rent for a year. And then I have those that are kind of like, what do you think is going to happen? They're just sitting on the sidelines waiting. I would say the one consistent thing is lots and lots of conversations. And I would also add that I don't ever try to pretend that I know it all or that I know what the future holds. And I don't want to make any promises. And to be honest, you know, when I just shared with you the range of clients that I'm working with and their different opinions, I think that just kind of goes to show you that there is a lot of opinions out there and none of us know what the future holds. So I just try to speak to what is happening today and in today's market and let them make those decisions for themselves. You know, that's how it always should be, I believe, is we give them info so that they can make those best decisions. But I would say it is a great opportunity just to have conversations. And talking to any potential lead has been really great because everybody is so curious about what's going on in the real estate world. I'm hearing that this or that or whatever. So being able to have those conversations opens the door. And then I would lastly add that I think it is super important to put really good info out there to your database and to just your sphere in general, because people want to know. And when you can put yourself out there as like a trusted, valuable resource for people that is providing really good info, I think it naturally leads to people wanting to come to you because they see you as someone that they can trust to kind of guide them through this process. So.
I would agree with what Janine is saying. One thing I always say is we can control what the market is doing today. We can't control what the future is. One reason why we have every buyer and seller sign a market condition advisory is that came out of the crash, the last crash. There were a lot of real estate professionals saying, buy this house, it's going to go up another $50,000. I feel like today we're back in 04, 05. We were very low inventory. I see a lot of the patterns happening. I know that there's a lot of people not making their mortgage payments right now. There is going to be a wave of foreclosures. It is coming. I personally believe. I think that there's people that think that this wave is just going to continue to go. And I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing that we have a lot of investors right now that are hurt right now because they've had tenants not paying mortgage, not paying rental payments for 90 days. And some of those people were average Americans that own these properties that didn't have the reserves. So you've got not just homeowners, but now you've got investors. Same thing we had back in the last crash, where so those will be the first wave of homes typically that go. So what I tell our clients is we know what today holds. We know where the market is today. I don't know what 30 days is going to be. But when I'm talking to them and I say, we know what today's market is, if you have to sell, now is the best time ever to sell. So you really need to get those people that are on the fence where it's in their best interest for them to sell based on what they want to do. It's our job to really educate them and show them why today is the reason they need to sell. In 90 days, they may not be able to sell that house. So that's why they're paying us the big bucks.
Love it.
Yeah, I would second what Vicky's saying as well. With my most recent listing appointments this past month, that they've been a lot of people are like, well, if I sell my home now, I'm buying another house at the top of the market, but I'm also reminding them that they're also buying at historic low interest rates as well. So you're kind of trading off. So I've shared a few third-party stories with some of my, which someone had just texted me, actually. It's a listing right when we started this. I shared with him that, hey, yeah, you're going to sell at the top of the market, right? Because right now, like what Vicky was saying, is probably the best time to sell right now. But when you buy that new home with the low interest rate, right? And I shared that with him, is that I had another client, they sold their home and they bought another home that was even more, I think it was like a $60,000 more than what they paid on the original house. They have a lower mortgage now because of low interest rates. So I'm just trying to help people navigate through that. The fact that, hey, the interest rates are really low right now. It is beneficial to sell and buy right now. So, because like Janine was saying, is that there's we can't predict the future. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 30 days. So.
Love it. So across the board, what I'm hearing from all four of you, there's this opportunity for educating your clients, right? And your client's individual situation is going to determine where it is that they are, what it is you need to educate them on, right? Do I need to educate them about, do they need to re-up something? Do they need to one of the things that I know Shanna does really well and Janine does really well, and of course I know Carol does them, but it's that getting clients to invest in their property to actually maximize the dollar that they're going to get out of it. Did you guys know that about, crap, I can't remember the number it is. It's like $28 billion are left on the table every year because of people who just won't put a few bucks into their house? It's true. $28 billion a year are left on the table because they're just like, no, I'm not going to put up any paint. But that's a part of the educating. The other part of the educating is understanding where are they going to go, how are they going to do it, and having those options. So I heard that across the board. So tell me, Vicki, what do you said, you brought up that it's important to sell now and that 90 days from now they might not. What does that conversation look like? What do you go through explaining to them about why now is better to sell, even though when we see here in Phoenix, appreciation we had 11% appreciation last month. Why is it better for them to sell now rather than wait 90 days? What do you tell them?
Because we don't, because I always say none of us have that real estate crystal ball. If we did, we'd be bazillionaires. But at the end of the day, we don't know what 90 days will be. We can look at it and go, okay, how many default mortgages are out there and different things like that. But we can only control today. And usually they've called us or we've met them or they've walked into our open house for some kind of reason because they want to make a move. People don't typically seek out a real estate agent or go just out looking at real estate for fun. They might tell you they are, but they're not. So you take their signals and you find out. And when you dive into what their story is, they might say the reason they're selling is a surface level reason. But when you're sitting down at their kitchen table and then you find out and you see what's going on in the home, maybe you see the condition of the home where it's not showing any love or anything because the home hasn't been taken care of. And you dive into why they really called you out, you're going to find that typically there's a motivation and something going on behind the scenes. And so for them to wait out and go, what if the market continues to go up? Many times they don't have that. But I will find the number one thing is what was addressed earlier is they don't know where they're going. And so I tend to have to spend more time educating them on what is the plan going to look like and giving them their options on double move, simultaneous close, or just educating them, on what the picture is going to look like. The number one thing I've been hearing lately is I haven't sold a house in 20 years. I haven't moved in 30 years. I haven't moved in 10, 15 years. I don't do this every day. What is the process going to look like? Many times they've interviewed multiple teams or agents by the time I get in their kitchen table, and nobody has sat down and talked with them about a plan.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so you
guys
be
hear that?
Mhm.
Sorry, Vicky, interrupt you on that, but she's been drilling this point throughout here, and right there, I just want to stamp it, exclamation point it, highlight it, underline it, point at it, shout it out. It's a plan. Do you, agents, I'm talking to all of you, do you have a plan when you walk in? You can say, look, this is what a simultaneous close looks like. Here's what the plan looks like we can do. Here's what it looks like if we're going to do a post possession. Here's what it looks like if we need to switch into a cash offer. Do you have that plan written out? Because fear and frustration is born out of a lack of system, and a system is just a plan. So when you have that plan, you're hearing Vicky saying she's going into these places, and I dare say more than any of us, they're having these conversations, and if that's the most consistent thing they're hearing, wow, the opportunity for you is to get a plan in place. It doesn't have to be a perfect plan, okay? You'll work on getting the perfect plan. Simply having a plan and knowing that when they're fearing, what they have a fear of, you're able to say, hey, I hear you. So what would it look like? Would you be open to a process like this? I have a plan for people in your exact situation. I take them through this process right here. Is that kind of similar to what you do, Vicki?
Correct. So then we spend time whether we're going to, try to sell their house, ask for a longer close of escrow, put them, and have the buyer close on the same day as they're closing on the new house. Or are we going to have them, maybe they need to go look for a short-term rental. Maybe it's that they just need to go do a VRBO. They're willing to put their stuff in a pod. So I break that all down with them while I'm there. And I just see them like with this relief, like now we know what we're going to do. And they'll say to me, I interviewed 3 or 4 other people. They were nice people. This was a nice young man that came to my house or a nice young lady that came to my house. I got along really well and I bonded with them. They were nice, but they didn't explain the process or go in there as the professional taking ownership of what to do to get them from point A to point B.
Love it. Love it. And Janine, Shannon, Josh, I'm sure you have similar processes. Anything you would add to that?
The one thing I would say, you kind of touched on this earlier, is the idea of fixing up the home before it goes on market. I think people think that, well, this market is so booming, they don't have to do that. And to a point, maybe that's true. But I also would argue that there is a potential huge range in what you would sell your home for. So I would argue it's still very much worth putting in the time and effort ahead of time to get your home fixed up and ready to go on the market. because you will see, that's when you see crazy multiple offers, waiving appraisal, way over list price, when you really put in that time and effort. And so I would argue that it's still worth it to do that and not to give up on those basics. I also think it is so important, you know, they are paying us a lot of money, and anybody can put a sign in the front yard and put it in MLS, right? My 15-year-old daughter could do that. They're not
Especially
paying
right
us
now, right?
right? They're not paying us the big bucks to do that, right? Where is our value? And our value really is in educating them, guiding them through the process, and really taking care of them. To Vicky's point, you know, is what does that look like? What does this journey look like? And how are you going to move? If this doesn't happen, do you have a plan B? And helping them with what are their options. It is a very big deal. And I think agents sometimes take for granted the responsibility and privilege that we have to walk someone through it. It's funny because I say this all the time, but a few years ago when I bought my home that I'm in now, I remember kind of going through some of that process, and I honestly said to my husband, like, I wish I had a realtor here to like bounce ideas off of and whatnot, because when it's you, it's very emotional, right? Buying a home and is a very emotional process. And so I think sometimes having that person there that can confidently walk you through is so, so valuable. So don't give up on that side of it, and take it so seriously.
Can I add a few more thoughts to that?
Yep.
So, I mean, thanks to Janine for teaching us all how to do the beautification program a few years ago. So we've incorporated that. And one thing that we do when we go out on a listing presentation, we always have 2 listing agents. And so I take my listing manager, who's a certified appraiser, with me. So he's full-time on our team. And we break it down into 3 columns for them. Here's what you could get today, i.e. Keller offers, right? Here's what we could do if we clean up your house and make it presentable. And here's what it is if we beautify it and maximize. And then we have at the bottom of the spreadsheet, we calculate their net for them. Here's what you're going to net as is. Here's what you're going to net if you clean it up. And here's what you're going to net if we beautify it. And then it just becomes a no-brainer. Then they start to panic on other things like, where am I going to go? And one of the things like the Vicky talked about is maybe going to Airbnb. We're finding people either going to Airbnbs in the meantime, or the last 2 that we've closed on, they bought smaller homes that then they can resell, and either they were rent free because they're going to at least break even, or they'll make money when they resell those and when they find their dream home. Because right now they're just not finding their dream home. Just an idea.
But the difference there is they have the cash now.
Yeah, they're maximizing their equity. They're taking it out right now. Because a lot of my clients are empty nesters now. That's my age group, right? And so maximizing that equity, taking it out, then having the chance to do whatever you want to do. If you want to travel, if you want to, you know, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I dare say that we need to understand that just keeping the house and just letting it appreciate for a few more months is the way I maximize my money is a myth. All right.
I agree.
Cash in your hand is worth a whole lot more than the potential maybe growth of what might come or might not come and all the unknown variables that are there. I mean, that's high risk in waiting, because now you also have to find a buyer and close it, right? And if you're dealing with, you know, higher price points, it can take a little longer. It might take you 2 weeks instead of 1, you know, but some people are just really impatient. What can I say? But I like I even like the idea of, you know, some of these bigger homes, you have somebody selling, they've got so much equity, so much monopoly money. Why not play Monopoly in real life? Go buy that house, be there till you find your one, and then you're renting that one out. I mean, that's Monopoly in real life, folks.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's
Yep,
really good.
Building wealth.
Absolutely. And now you're truly a fiduciary advisor instead of just a casual guide, right? We are more than just casual guides. We're professionals. We know how to help people build wealth and improve their lives through real estate as that vehicle, right? So what has happened to your guys' lead generation during COVID? Josh, what are you doing lead generation wise right now? How have things changed for you?
Well, the very first day that Gary Keller came out and had a big meeting with all the Keller Williams associates and talking about the shift, the potential shift coming, and what, you know, the the good thing about my team is that my team has been preparing for that, because they were about that 7-year period, right? They started preparing for it. So we already had like some stuff in place, different things implemented. And mainly that was, we were already doing a lot of Zoom calls with clients that couldn't get to see us, right? For whatever reason. All I did really is I jumped on my Mojo dialer and put all of my stuff in there, and I dialed probably, I would say, about 3 or 4 times more than what I was usually doing when I first started here at Keller Williams.
Okay, so hold on a second, everybody. So Josh he's a worker. He does the phones, and now he's saying you did how much? Did you think you increased?
I probably increased about 3 to 4 times more than what I was usually doing.
And that means not zero, guys. So that wasn't 3 to 4 times zero. He was already doing calls, and now he's 3 to 4 times. I mean, that is one of the principal aspects of shift, right? Double your lead generation, triple your lead conversion. You guys have heard me preach this for the last couple of years as we've been looking out for the shift to come. Double lead generation, triple lead conversion, quadruple education, like y'all are here. Go ahead, Josh, keep going. What about that?
Yeah, so
tripling down, actually, you tripled to quadrupled your lead gen.
Yeah, I mean, I was probably averaging 100 to 120 regular like dials a day during my lead gen time. So I was up to that like 3 or 4, which is 300 or 400, which is really easy to do with Mojo, right? So, but
that's
just getting
on
leverage,
there, though. That's just leverage. That's smart. You're leveraging your time. That's just leverage, man.
Yeah, and then we were just part of those people that I was calling. They were FSBOs, old FSBOs, old expireds. Just put them in there, and the listings that you saw in there for June, those were all results from that were FSBOs and expireds. They were, all 3 of them were FSBOs and expireds.
FSBOs and expireds, guys. How many of you listening have just written off FSBOs and expireds because there are none? I mean, they're going to be able to do it themselves. I mean, if the market's so good, that's why they're going to go with a discounter. That's why they're going to. These stories I know that are in your heads, and yet the 3 listings Josh took were all expired or FSBOs. What did those conversations look like, Josh?
It was like for the FSBOs, it was a lot of like we've been talking about, as education, right? Well, if you feel like you're in a situation now where things could potentially be changing and you want to sell your home, you want to get to the next area, how much better would it be to have a professional, right? That does this, not somebody like Janine was saying, like just put a post, in the yard and then put it on the MLS. Somebody that has an active marketing plan, and we have a marketing manager. We have 2 marketing managers. They're out there, social media posts, 100 Craigslist posts, a day from each of those guys. Like we get tons and tons of social media posts out there in over 400 groups that we've been doing. So that's been some of the stuff that kind of helped leverage and show them that, hey, we're actually doing something, as opposed to just putting a post in the yard. We're actually actively marketing, as opposed to just putting it out there for somebody to see, and hopefully somebody will call you. So, I mean, my team's averaging, we're like 11 to 18 days on the market. So, and when you look at the market, the average days on market for the Phoenix Valley, I mean, it's, in the 30s and 40s. And so it's kind of a benefit to show them the benefit that we can do to help as a professional.
You're showing them, again, a process. And here's what you do. Here's what the exposure I can get for you. That's what we're going to do. And it changes the conversation with them. Janine, Shannon, what have you done differently with your lead generation? What are you doing now?
So let me just share a quick story, because I love stories. I have a for sale by owner that was under contract on her own. She reached out to me because she was referred to me to use me to buy. And in the process, her deal fell through. She had got hers under contract. The appraisal came in low and they could not negotiate it, and it fell apart. So she's like, what do I do? So long story short, I listed her home, worked it all out, had her do a little bit, right to that point of kind of fixing up a few things. And we went under contract the first day with multiple offers, 10 over list price, waiving the appraisal contingency. And I love that, you know, and I'm going to take care of her throughout this whole process, right? I'm not going to just leave her to fend for herself. I will be there through the inspection and all of that. So I think sometimes, yes, the market is strong, but is it worth the hassle? And, you know, you're going to get more. Even though she's paying me a fee, she's still going to net more. Um, so for me, our lead gen, you know, a lot of what I've done with my farming is always like kind of around events and getting out in front of people, and not having that ability to do that. It's been kind of fun because it's pushed us to be creative. But for me, it's really diving into my database, diving into my sphere, and having those conversations, being the one to give them information, following up with all of my past leads and anybody that was possibly on the fence in the past has been really great. And then just pouring into my clients that I do have. That's something that I'm really passionate about. Is I just want to do such a good job for them that they are so happy with me that they're compelled to tell others. I have a couple people that like post all the time on social media groups about me. It's a little much, but I love that they're like raving fans, you know, and they always ask me like, is that too much? And I'm like, no, just keep going.
Completely.
So
So I'm gonna unpack that a little bit there,
yeah.
because the Getting Purples, like you just recently did in terms of getting creative with it. You still did your ice cream in the park. I saw the ice cream truck, saw that. You guys still doing that. So it just kind of still,
Yeah.
you've always done that, but just kind of
Yeah.
change up the manner of the delivery of it for everybody. It was less hang around and more pop in, get it and go.
Totally.
So you talked though about providing information to your SOI. What kind of information? Like what are you actually giving them? Because I think a lot of times as agents we hear that I need to become purposeful, develop my relationships, pour into them. What does that look like when you're doing that for your SOI specifically?
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I've done that's been, I would say, like a huge hit is sending out a video where it's just like an honest couple minutes of me chatting with my database, sharing with them what's going on in the market, what we're seeing. Because I think even if you're not necessarily in the market to buy or sell, it's still interesting information. And it gets them to connect me as the source of that information and then share me with others that have questions. So just putting that info out there, also just being like a friendly face for them to see. I love the ability to use video to connect in that way. And I'm not sending individual videos to everybody. It's like a one video that I record that goes out to a ton of people. But the response from these has been huge. And it's so funny because just yesterday, I got a response from a client from one of my videos that I sent like a couple months ago. She like saved it or went and found it or whatever and reached out to me and was like, okay, we're selling in New Mexico. We're ready to move back to Arizona. So I think just doing some of those kinds of fun videos and unique videos, it's embarrassing. Sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, oh, why did I say that or whatever, but it's authentic and it's me. And whether I'm on video or I'm in front of them in person, that's how I'm going to be. So I think that's been really huge. And then just doing like fun and unique ways to connect with people. We've switched up our whole birthday program and our referral program where we're thanking clients for sending us business or referring us out. So we're going to their place of work and bringing them something with balloons just so that we can make a big deal out of it in front of everybody. And again, I don't think that's like anything revolutionary, but it's something different. And just getting that, you know, giving them attention in a public way has been really fun. And I will say this about our ice cream event. I was like, oh, should we do it? Should we not? But I'm really glad we did. And I knew that, you know, if people are going to feel comfortable coming, they will. And if not, they don't have to. But some of the things that I did different was we stayed distant from them. If someone wanted to like approach us and talk to us, we were happy to, but I didn't go seek anybody out. And yes, our attendance was less than we've had in the past, but the people that did come were so, so happy and were like just saying, thank you so much for doing this. And it does spark those conversations. The other thing that we're doing is on our marketing materials, explaining our different options to our clients and reiterating how important their health and safety is to us, and sharing with them what we're doing to help provide it, make it like a safe place to buy and sell a home. And so I think I've talked about this before, but we do COVID kits, we call them, that we give to all of our listings that have a bunch of masks, gloves, booties, hand sanitizer, cleaning products that we give to them with a little, I don't know, like a flyer thing in there. And then we just kind of talk them through what we would recommend that they do after a showing. So trying to
You're
set
addressing
them
the
up for
market of the
success.
moment that we have right now and the concerns that somebody has of having people come through with that kind of thing. It's all of that stuff's really fantastic, Janine. We could go. We could any one of you. We could have you guys on your own show doing it. Well, Vicki has her own show, so.
Yeah.
Shanna, what about you? And Vicki too. I don't want to leave you guys out on what you're doing with your lead generation, because I think this is the key. How do I get my listings? It's through lead generation. So what are you doing?
Well, first of all, I'm taking lots of notes. Every time the others are talking, I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to do that. So yeah, we've had to change up quite a few things, right? As I've been looking at our transactions and where they came from, a lot during COVID have been through referrals. And that's because we've been, like Janine says, loving on our sphere more, loving on the people we know more Zoom, more all of that, more phone conversations, texting, everything we can just quadruple, has been said before. I kind of wake up every single morning and think, how many people can I touch today? Like every single day, how many can I touch? And I keep telling my team, I need you to touch the individual people and not one-to-one, make them warm and fuzzy. But as a team leader, I'm trying to think, how many can I touch to try to bring our way? And I mean, just a couple of things that like we did today. We always do home tour Wednesday. We go look at preview all the listings out in our area on Wednesday. We carpool in a big long caravan so that the community sees us all go in, and then we all take flyers and stuff. So we passed out about 350 of these this morning after our home tour to the whole neighborhood that we toured around. So that was great. But as far as trying to do things on a mass, I mean, Janine's been a great example of personal videos. And one thing we did, I don't know, 10 days ago that worked, I thought, remarkably well, is we sent out through command an email, a text to 1,200 people, and we invited them to a Zoom call on how to increase the value of your home, whether you're going to sell or not. How do you increase the value of your home? And then my appraiser was on, and we did a little call, and even people I didn't even know were on, somebody had sent them the recording. So, and then I've got response back from that. So that was great. Another great idea that we've been doing is every single week at team meeting, we kind of introduce a new challenge. And so the challenge that we had last week that we had a ton of fun with is, I said, I'd pay you so much for every single video you did of, we called it Home of the Day. So go do a video of any home that you're previewing and call it Home of the Day, and leave the address as anonymous so that they have to call you. And so then we post it on all of our social medias everywhere. We started new TikTok accounts. We did all kinds of fun things. And so today's challenge that we gave out there at team meeting was go out and video a business in our area. And if you can get that business, obviously we'll tag them and we'll promote them and we'll do all that for them. But while we're there, we're going to our app and we're adding them to our insights, which then gets loaded to Nextdoor, right? And then also if we can talk them into doing, here's a couple examples. Like here's one where 10% off of our moving company. I thought I had another one sitting here for, shoot, I had some for like window washing. So we're trying to talk all of the people that we can talk to, either restaurants or businesses or our vendors, all the people we use all the time, pool cleaners. So the challenge is do a video of the business, and if you can get them to co-brand on the back side of our postcard, our EDDM that we both hand out and mail out, if you can get that, then we'll give you a big bonus if they'll co-brand with us.
Nice.
So that's our big challenge for the next 7 days.
So what that is all about is being visual, all right? And you don't see that necessarily as one of the tactics in Shift. It is one that Gary has added, though, in about 2016 when he was running down, here's the things you got to do. That was one I really remembered was be visual. You have to be visual, be out there.
Visible.
So, what was that?
Be visible.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's you have to be seen. If you're not, and I'm saying visual, I meant visible. Thank you. I was saying visual. Yeah, be visible, be seen.
Yeah.
Is what it is. And the more visible you are in those different places, that is a key thing.
There's
Vicki,
just one more little tiny thought. We're handing out all kinds of little things to anybody that we can hand out to, and whether it's a neighborhood, whether it's our pop buys. We've got tons and tons of pop buys that we take to all of our sphere, and it's that visual
it's being visible, and just like there, so anybody's seeing, you're thinking, oh my gosh, well, I don't have the team, I don't have all this stuff. That right there was a piece of paper printed with a message, a business card, and a Kool-Aid packet. Y'all can afford that, all right? Y'all can afford that. And if it's like, well, I don't have something good to print it, come in here. We're still here in the office. You can print it on the office stuff, right? Vicki, anything you would add? Anything different that you guys are doing?
You talking about for lead generating?
Yeah.
It's the
And
same.
it might be for lead converting. I mean, you might have to adjust something to convert the leads differently.
So, I mean, basically, we do a lot of different lead conversion or lead generating out there and then lead conversion. But the one thing I would say that I wanted to bring up today too is when you're out there, and let's say for an agent on listening today, maybe you go do an open house and somebody comes in and you start talking to them about, you know, what they want to buy for their next house. Many people make the mistake and go for that as a buyer. One thing our team does is I assume everybody has a home to sell on the back end. I will tell you, so many of the listings we take, they've already bought another home because they bought with an agent that they met maybe at an open house or something, but then they heard our radio ad and they called us out to list their house. Agents are leaving a lot of business by assuming that they're a buyer only and don't even ask the question, do you have a home to sell? And so that's the number one question I ask everybody. And I go for the listing versus what do they want to buy?
Yeah.
So I convert a lot of people
on it, right?
You flip the script basically. So with that said, and then we start everything off with either a pink sheet or a blue sheet. So these are our sheets for all the listing information. You would never see us just writing on a little scratch piece of paper, taking a call and writing their name and phone number and what they're looking for or what home they have to sell. Everything we have has a script on it of the questions we need to ask to set the appointment. So you have to be in the mindset of a listing agent, you need to do the homework ahead of time. You need to have your sheets for the things ready. You need to have your listing packets done. So everything that you need on that listing packet, like same little marketing piece like Shanna had there. There's our mover with the coupon. So, but everything we have, I take to the listing presentation with me as well as the iPad that has all of the actual presentation. If they're a referral, if they're a relative, if there's somebody that I met off the street at an open house, I don't cheat the process. Everybody gets the identical listing presentation. Never assume that you get the business just because they were referred or who you know that how you got that. Treat everybody the same and don't cheat on your listing presentation. Don't say this is a slam dunk. I'm going in here and I'm going to get it.
Perfect. I mean, that is so critical because we tend to do that. Oh, my mom referred them or my, a former client referred them. I'm just going to go over there. I'm going to take this listing. Guys, they might be meeting with you first, but they've also interviewed virtually by looking up other agents. You weren't the only person they waited for. Everyone has this thing called Google, right? Mm-hmm. It's on their phone. And they're going out and they're looking at other agents beside you, and then they're comparing what you say to them. So, Vicki, we were having a conversation the other day, and I'd like you to talk a little bit about what you do when you don't get the listing.
So what we do when we don't get the listing, So basically, every listing is filled out on a pink sheet. So we'll go out on the listing appointment. We've got the pink sheet, we've got the comps, we've got everything. This comes back into the office, and if we don't get the listing, it immediately goes to Carol, and then it turns into an autopsy. And an autopsy is Carol picking up the phone and calling and saying, "Hi, this is Carol. You met with my agent Vicki Middlebrook yesterday afternoon. I'm just calling you to see how we can earn your business." And many times there's silly little objections for why they didn't sign right then and there with me at the kitchen table. So then she is taking those objections and handling and saying, and once she handles those objections over the phone, is it okay if I send Vicki back over tonight at 5 or tomorrow at 4 to go ahead and sign the paperwork with you? So if we didn't do that autopsy, more than likely we would have never gotten that business, because once you walk out of that house, there is about a 85% chance that they will not call you back.
Totally. So I want to dig into this a little bit more, get a little more into things here, Vicki, because the typical mindset is that they said they were going to list with someone else, that they weren't going to go with me. It's done. It's over. But what I hear you saying is, you guys, when you follow up, you're able to bring back a good portion of 50, 60-ish% of that business. You're able to convert. You bring it back because they have not signed something with somebody else. They're just leaning towards somebody when they've told you that. Is that correct?
Correct. Or maybe the people had been told by a family member, whatever you do, don't sign anything with a real estate agent. You need to sleep on it or whatever. And so then they felt that they had to put that wall up. And so the agent leaves, and yet sometimes, if you don't follow back up and you think it's a slam dunk, oh, they're going to call me. I bonded with them. We talked about our kids go to the same school, or they're from the same small town in the Midwest that my family's from. We hear a lot of these stories from our agents on our team where they'll come back and they'll say, oh, it's a slam dunk. We're going to get that listing in a week. And then a week goes by, never get the listing. So you can't assume that you're going to get that listing. And the other thing is, don't go into the listing being their friend. Go in being their professional, because many times I hear, this was a nice young gentleman who came out and saw me yesterday, or this was a nice gal. She's a really nice person. I know her family could really use the business. And then we come in and show them a different way, and they're like, wowed. So don't assume that they're going to sign with you. But the autopsy is probably the biggest thing. That's Carol's favorite thing to do. That is a money-making task. What we were sharing, Carol and I were sharing with Jason, is if you don't have a team and you don't have somebody, come into the office, have another agent make that call for you. And it's a simple call, is just, how can we earn your business today? What did you like about what we shared with you?
What's the power in having somebody else make that call instead of just you making the call?
You can't make your own. I cannot make my own autopsy call. So if I go on a listing, I have to call Carol and say, please call this person.
Yeah.
We love that autopsy call so much on our team. We're begging her to make the calls.
I believe it. So why isn't it as effective if you make it? Why is it that that's the case?
They're not going to tell me.
Exactly, right? Because you were this nice, if you were this nice man that was out there, whatever, they don't want to hurt your feelings. So they're not going to, as much as you think they're going to come out and tell you the truth, they're not. So there's some really power in there. If you were to partner up with somebody in the office and you were just to autopsy one another's files, and from the autopsy, you can say, hey, if I autopsy it and I pop it, give me, whatever percent you guys work out, that, and you have somebody that's your go-to to autopsy your listings, you're going to find out things you need to be adding to your presentation. You're going to find out things you need to say. You're going to realize, I thought I was presenting my value proposition one way and it's coming across another. There's so much feedback you're going to get in doing that. I highly, highly, highly encourage you to partner up with somebody in that way. Just, I'll autopsy yours, you autopsy mine, and just make that part of your process when you go.
I had one come back the other day where they said the reason we didn't sign the listing paperwork with your team was you don't use professional photography. And Carol about died. She's like, yeah. Professional photography, that's all we use. We've got 3 different photographers that we hire on our team. And so, that was a simple, okay, we'll have a professional photographer out there tomorrow. Is that okay with you? But people just assume if you don't get to every little thing in your presentation.
It's so true. So true. Now, all right, everybody who's listening, we're going to go after the real nitty gritty here. So I want to see in the chat questions that you have. What things are you coming up against? What are you hearing? I'm going to fire some objections at you guys, and I want to hear what your objection responses are when you're dealing with any kind of lead, right? Sphere of influence or whatever. So I want to hear it from you guys, okay? And so it's okay if you're like, I basically say the same thing. That's okay, right? Anybody? Let's start filling up the chat. And I am watching on Facebook, guys. So I see you there on Facebook. So you can find Facebook too. I see you there. I see you. All right.
While they're writing their questions, Jason, I would just add a couple things to what Vicki said. I think it's really important that just because someone tells you they're interviewing other realtors or they're not ready to make a decision today doesn't mean that they won't sign with you today. You always have to ask for the business, right? We can't.
And that's on Josh's board. If you guys look at Josh, say something so the camera switches to you. Say something, man.
Oh, me or Josh Gagowski?
Yeah. That's on his back. He's got ask for the business on his board. Go ahead, Janine.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you have to ask for it. And I don't think it hurts to ask some of those objection handling questions, or maybe that things that you ask on the autopsy call in the moment too. Like, what would it take for you to feel comfortable moving forward with me today? Is there something that I didn't say? And really try to address it at that time. I think people sometimes think that, well, they have to do that, and they don't, right? Like, is there anything I said to you that today that would give you pause or hesitation in moving forward with me? And I've had many people be like, yeah, you're right. Let's just do this. You know, I don't want to have to call. And I'll even offer like, oh, you have an appointment set. If it's easier, I'm happy to call them on your behalf, whatever, to try to alleviate that. So sometimes people just don't have because they don't ask.
That's so true. So true. Claudia asked in the chat here, can you autopsy for a buyer rep? So if you go and do a buyer rep and you don't get them to sign the buyer rep, could you come back and have your partner do a buyer autopsy?
Here's our buyer form. And in this box right here, it has autopsy. So yes, we do an autopsy on the buyer as well. So you can do an autopsy on anybody.
Wonderful question, Claudia. Well, make sure
You're reviving that client.
Yeah, you're reviving the client. I mean, autopsy. I'm not going to go into the dead discussion.
Well, and can I add too? Sorry. I think the way that we handle these conversations is going to say everything for what future business we could potentially have. I've had people that have used other realtors to sell their home and have come back to me 2 years later because of how I handled them walking away from me, right? Like, handling it well can say a lot. And then following up too, right? And still doing your process and not writing them off just because they didn't go with you right away. And then on the buyer side, I mean, I'll be super honest and vulnerable with you guys. We lost a buyer a couple of weeks ago, and in my following up with them, why? It was because they felt like we were too negative about their buying options as a first-time home buyer wanting to buy a $300,000 100% VA loan.
Which means you told them the truth.
But we were truthful. But that was super good feedback for me to be like, it came off as like we didn't believe in them or that there wasn't really any hope, even though that's obviously not what we were trying, but that was such good feedback. So
awesome. So first question here, Joshua, tell me, where do I go when I sell my home?
Where do you want to go?
Yeah, where do you want to go? One of my clients, he said, what do I do when I sell my home? And this is a listing that will go live next month, hopefully. And I said, well, exactly what Janine said. So what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Like, are you planning on moving out of state or what? And he's like, honestly, he's like, I want to get a motorhome and just travel. I'm like, well, then start looking for that motorhome so we can get this sold and you get going.
I've seen some things on Facebook. If he just shares it, this Canadian didn't win it. He could win it if he just shared it.
I tried to win that too.
Yeah.
Great.
So, I mean, he was an empty nester. So
that's a great one, right? Finding out what they want, because who'd have thought that he was like, I just want to travel around in a motorhome.
Well, one thing I specialize in, I feel like, is the simultaneous close. And that's not always an easy thing, and it's a stressful thing for home sellers. But I will always talk to them because many of them won't move forward because they don't know where they're going to go. And so when you can talk to them and say, well, what if we were to start the process of getting your home ready to sell? And while you're doing this, the first weekend that your home is on the market, why don't we go look at 3 or 4 homes? Knowing that they're not going to be able to buy because they need to sell their house, they're going to be a contingent buyer. But you take them out and you let them look at homes while people are viewing their house, and it motivates them really quickly. It does one of 2 things. If an offer comes in, they're motivated to take it, but we say then let's ask the buyer to allow for a 60 to 70 day close of escrow. Now that's going to give us a good 30 days to go identify and find a house for you. And so we just walk them through that process of how this is going to work and how we need to make sure that that the title company that handles the sale of your home is also the title company where your purchase is going to be. We need to be in communication with your lender to make sure that they fund that loan prior to your house closing. So we really work it together and educate them. And I tell them it's like they're pregnant with twins, that they're going to be in severe labor. We don't know when the first baby's coming or when the second baby's going to be born, but it's going to happen. It's going to be a stressful process. But if I tell them that up front with the expectations, they know as we're going through, my clients always come back to me and go, am I in labor now? What stage am I at? Am I dilated? Are we pacing the floor? And so they understand that when we get to the end, that the second birth is going to be when I get to give them the keys of that beautiful new home. And when you walk it through and you tell them step by step that it's going to be okay, they move forward. And I would say probably 80% of my sales are a buy and a sell,
Awesome.
where they're closing the same day.
New one for you guys. The market's so hot right now. I'm thinking I'm just going to go with homing. Well, this should sell immediately. I'm just going to go with Bob here is charging a flat fee. I'm just going to do that because
And he should.
Just like you said, it's going to go real fast.
I give them examples and stories. I have one right now where the client had done a Zillow instant offer. They were going to buy it for $350. She was going to net $304. I sold her house over list price, all cash for $387. She's netting a lot more. And so I just give them stories and I give them the freedom, at the end of the day, like if that is what works for you, but then also giving them the option of if that's what you want to do, I can help with that too. Here's what it looks like. We've started incorporating that on our marketing material that you as a seller have choices. Here are your choices. And the good thing is I can help with all 3, right?
Yeah, right. So, and I think that's really good. What I like, Janine, there is you're giving stories. So you're letting stories and actual examples sell the experience instead of just telling them, I will this, I will that. You're saying, well, this is what happened. A person like you, they thought the same thing, and this is what we did. And at the same time, like I think you said, then you should. Is that what you said when I first said it?
Anytime they talk about a discounter, our number one comeback is, and they should discount.
Yep.
Because
and
they're not doing all the stuff that we're doing.
Because they're not, right? So it's important for us, they're out there saying that, hey, we're full service. We offer full service. Well, whoever decided what the heck full service is, right? So really being able to then explain, hey, here's the options. One of the things that we do as well is we have the options. Here, you want this? You want a really easy, you want the option to sell yourself? Okay, well then that program looks like this. You want an iBuyer? Cool, I got an iBuyer for you. Let's go find out what the iBuyer wants. It's called Killer Offers. We'll go take a look, right? I know you're probably not going to want that based on what we talked about, but I don't have to tell you that. I just say, all right, that's what you want. Let's go. Sign the listing agreement. Let's make it happen. You provide them options along the way, and all it is meeting their needs. They're valuing something. And there will be cases, folks, where somebody's just dead set on, I'm not paying an agent more than $1,500. And guess what? That's not the client you want to be working with.
Mm-hmm. So I just went on a listing appointment in South Tempe. They had told our lead coordinator who took the incoming phone call that they refused to pay more than 4%. Their business partner actually owned RE/MAX offices. They've never paid more than 4% to sell any of their homes. I went on the listing appointment. I walked out of there with our normal fee that is pre-printed in all of the Carol Royce team listing agreements, with an additional fee on top of that. And I listed 2 properties, and that same day I sold them a house. So they asked me if I could go show them a couple houses, and then they didn't like what we saw. We regrouped in the afternoon, and I closed them 2 weeks later on a cash offer. So that's 3 deals. And one of the deals that they had was a lot in Flagstaff that a lot of people would have said, oh, who's the Flagstaff agent that I could refer to? Went ahead, filled out the lot listing paperwork, put it in the MLS, had it sold in less than 2 weeks. So you
That's
just have
value,
to,
right? You
correct.
got value is what it was. So they're insistent we never pay more than 4, and then you go in there and, well, I'm gonna tell you folks,
I got them, I got
Vicky
their
didn't walk
lot,
out with a
and I
4%.
got the lot and the house at our standard fee that we charge here at the Carol Royce team.
Yeah.
Yet he had that objection before we even met. So whenever they try to have that objection and they put commission before we meet with them, they can say anything they want. We don't have that conversation with them. I haven't seen their house. I don't know. I haven't shown them what we do. When I go through our presentation on the iPad and then I bring out all my individual handouts, by the time they're done, they're nodding. They want to sign the listing
All right,
agreement
give me the paper. Give me the paper. Let's do this.
because they see that we're going to net them more money over the average MLS listing agent.
Completely.
So at that point, commission's not an issue.
Everybody, this has been fantastic. I'm going to give every one of you a final word before we close out here today. David did ask, I'm looking to right size. This was an objection, not him himself, but someone say, I'm looking to right size, so I'm going to be out there looking now with the disadvantage of the seller's market when they're out there. So how quickly things are going. I think that goes back to the option discussion, right? Having a process of, okay, how would we close it, do a double escrow? What do we have to, how do we make it work? And putting it down in front of them so they see, oh, you have a plan. Cool. I think that's largely it. But I want to give you guys a chance to give your final thoughts. Anything that we didn't cover, you wanted to make sure that was said here, or anything you want to emphasize. So, go. Who would like to go first? On my screen, I see Janine, Josh, Shanna, and Vicky.
I'll go.
That's the order
I'll
I
go.
see.
I would say I would encourage all my fellow realtors to not be lazy in this market, to not take it for granted, and to always do a really good job. I've seen a lot of agents that do a good book of business really mishandle their clients, and it doesn't go well. It doesn't bode well for our industry. So I think that, yes, things are great and the market's hot and it's relatively easy to sell a home right now, but do not discount or shortchange what you do. I think even more so now than ever is when we have a lot of value to provide. So,
amen. Joshua,
I'll just add real quick is that one of the things that I kind of like a mantra of mine of the day is it's ABC, right? You got your activating experience, and then the B would be a behavior. You could be having an irrational behavior or a rational behavior, right? And then whatever that B is ultimately makes that C, which is that emotional consequence. So I see some of the people that I've talked to, some of my friends that are in real estate have had over like an irrational fear of this whole COVID thing. And where they're like, oh, the market's going to go crazy, this and that, they're going to have this hard time. But then they have that mentality, that behavior, right, that it's going to be really bad. So then that creates that negative emotional experience. Where if you could just change your mindset and be like, you know what, there's still plenty of opportunity. Like Janine was talking about, like there's plenty. I mean, just driving home from the office, you can see all the houses that are out there and there's somebody out there just wants to sell. So it's just having the right mentality and, you know, you'll have that, the proper consequences, the proper emotional consequences after it.
love
So
it.
ABC.
ABC, just do the ABCs. Shanna.
I guess my last word advice would be what I think about daily is to stay insanely focused over time. So as we see Josh on the phone, he's insanely focused and he's, quadrupled his efforts. And with our team, we're trying to stay insanely focused on all the different things we're doing, the Popeyes, the sphere of influence, everything that we do, we're trying to do it at an insane level and stay focused and keep at it over time. Just keep at it. Don't let up. Don't get discouraged. Just keep going.
Amen. Yep. Just keep going. Gary talks about that as like you don't give up, right?
Give up.
Don't give up. You don't settle. You become an immovable object. Don't go anywhere. You are there and show up. Very good. Vicki, final words.
I would say, yeah, show up, prepare, do your homework. If I haven't been on a listing appointment in a week, I go back through my iPad presentation and I do it and I practice it before I go back out on that client. And I have done hundreds of listing presentations, but I still practice to this day, because I'm not going to practice on the person in front of their house, because the reason I'm going away from my family to that listing presentation is to come back with a signed listing. It's not for me to go have fun for an hour and tour somebody's house and learn about their family and their wife or why they're selling. It's about coming back with the signed listing agreement. And I just want to say to David, who wants to right size, this is a seller's market, but I had a seller this past couple weeks ago. We just closed on the house in Gilbert, where multiple offers, way over list price. But there was one young couple who was buying the house, who wrote a letter and put a picture and said how they would live in the house and how they appreciated everything. And my seller decided to go with that offer because of that letter and the picture over the bidding wars. And yet that was a contingent offer. They were selling their little patio home in Tempe to buy this larger home in Gilbert with a pool, and my seller still chose. So I'm not agreeing so much with it's a seller's market and to have that idea to tell buyers, look, it's going to be tough out there. I tell buyers, you hire us, we're going to write the offer that's going to win.
Vicki,
So yeah,
winning
it's the mindset either way, whether you're going for that listing or you're writing the offer that's going to win on the multiple offer situation.
Wonderful. Great final thoughts. Guys, this panel was amazing. I really thank you so much for taking the time on a Wednesday in July. I know you could probably be outside in 120 whatever degrees heat it is right now, but you chose to be with us, so thank you. Thank you for that. Really appreciate it. Everybody, this next week, again, remember, Bolt's coming up August 4th. We've got Mega Camp coming up in September, and Be the Tech-Enabled Agents happening on Friday. So get in on your command stuff. Everybody, thank you for joining us so much, and we'll see you around. I'm going to get some music, play us out here.